Welcome, everybody. My name is Michael Camo. I'm Director of Content for T3 Live. I'm here with my good friend Adam Mesh to help me break down what's going on in this market. We have crazy Tesla news, crazy tariff news, but apparently Adam was doing something very interesting over the last few minutes. So, Adam, please illuminate for us. What are you up to?
So I was able to get in with this world-renowned putting guru, and so I was at a lab taking a specialty putting lesson, and that is why I'm running late. I assume there's a lot of crossover between golf and trading. So for anyone who appreciates that, you have these specialty glasses that when you put them on and you look down, it shows you where you're supposed to be looking. And when I first put them on, the line was so far away from where I was supposed to be looking. And by the end, unbelievable. If I can make people feel like I just felt after that lesson, if we can make people feel about trading that way, we've done our jobs.
Okay, so what did you need help with specifically with your putting? Was it like the position of your body?
Everything, but my head, and then I was getting a little too handsy. But I won't take up any more than that. For anyone who appreciates golf, I just want to talk about that's what I was doing. Trump's holding a conference at 4:00 to announce auto tariffs. I gotta tell you, I'm a little frustrated. I was traveling yesterday, and I was in an Uber back from LaGuardia, like an hour car ride that should take 15 minutes. And at like 4:05 p.m., I bought 60 of the I bought 60 of the 490 Qs, the puts and the Qs, and I never was going to hold it. I thought we were going to have a little mini sell-off up until 4:15 when the trading closes on the Qs. But they cost 72 cents, and I sold them for 70 cents. So it was like $120. It would have been a $4,200 risk. But as of this moment, they'd be worth I probably would have sold them already, but it would have been worth over $24,000 for the day on 4,000. You can see with a 10 extra money. Instead, I bought the 485 puts for 18 cents. They're worth $1.40, and I bought the 483 puts for 14 cents, which went up to 70 cents. So real good multipliers on the options trading. And I am pretty much even on the day, despite having come in with my Core Z stock, which is getting killed. I will say, and I've talked about it, and I own my calls like nobody you've ever met in your life. Like some people talk about stocks and they move on to the next stock. So like if I have a stock and I'm like responsible for it, I'll just keep talking about it. CoreWeave has an IPO Friday. They do everything through Core Z. So the two are interchangeable. The reason why Core Z is down is because there's whispers that the IPO is going to be bad on Friday. But I have options, so my risk is limited, and it's a cheap stock, and hopefully the IPO is good on Friday.
Yeah, definitely seems like a tricky environment for because all these growth stocks, you see like AppLovin, DoorDash, Palantir, they're all getting smacked around.
By the way, you know what's not? We got to bring in the audience. I like everyone to say hello real quick because it just makes stuff more fun. I had a great trade this morning in Dollar Tree. It had earnings. It announced they're selling something for $1 billion. And what I like is those reversals. So it dropped and went negative in the morning. It went down to 65. And when it came back above $1, I was like, this thing's looking like it's going to have one of those nice reversals. I don't call mine red dog reversals. I just call it a nice reversal. Shout out to Scott. So I bought this 68 puts for like $1.25, and they went to $4. So that was a great option trade this morning.
Okay, what made you jump on that? Was it just
looking for action on one of the earnings plays? It was like a lot of news on it. They had a sale. It just seemed like, you know what it seemed like? It seemed like there was a lot of differing opinions on how that news would impact the stock, and which means you're going to have volatility. So I was looking to just trade that volatility.
Okay, so were you just waiting it for it to take off in one direction or the other?
Um, yeah, I was looking for that reversal. It went negative, and then it flipped. And like usually these stocks are going to be really heavy on the trends. So once it starts getting far enough away from the bottom, like I'm not trying to pick the bottom. Like I'm not trying to buy that 65. I'm trying to watch and see when does it stop. And it was also really widespread. That made it interesting. The stock was like trading, I don't know, 65.70 by 66.20. So it was like a 50-cent spread on the stock. And then so I looked at the options and I'm like 67s, and they were $1 by $1.25, which felt less risky than the stock. I'm like, if this goes, these options are going to explode, and they did. I'm sorry, I bought the 68 calls for $1.25.
Okay, and I think that's a good segue to kind of talk about the broader environment, because like we are hearing mixed things. Some people are really, really frustrated because everybody's getting whipsawed around. I mean, on the other hand, we hear from some active traders that love this market because there's all these wild moves. So how do you describe the action out there?
I think it was really good. And then I think it's just easier to trade when the market's going down, the volatility. The big up moves I think are much harder to trade. I've always felt that way. I'm curious how people who are active trader on this call, whether they agree or not, but like, when you get a big open like we did Monday, that's harder to trade.
Okay.
Because you can't, if you try to go bearish, you get eaten up. If you try to chase what you're in, could get pulled back. It's like you kind of missed that. So I came in with stuff, but I didn't trade that well on Monday. Yesterday I was traveling. Stocks even though the market was up, the stocks I were in weren't doing well. Tried to make a bearish play. The market was looking for the reversal yesterday, didn't get it. And then yesterday all day felt like we wanted to go negative on the Qs. Everything else was down. It wouldn't go down, and now today it got hammered. Would you call it hammered? Yeah, I'd call it hammered, right? 1.75% down move in a day. That's sufficiently hammered.
I definitely say. Okay, so we are definitely in this volatile period. Like you said, we're seeing headlines about a 4 p.m. meeting, press conference at the White House about auto tariffs. We're heading into this big deadline next Wednesday, April 2nd.
For sure.
Do you think this is like basically going to be an ideal trading environment, or does it hurt to have so much crazy news all the time?
You got to be careful. That's why I love options, because the risk is defined. But no, I think for traders, you want an active market. I don't think it's great for investors. Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you carry any like opinions about like the economy on a grander scale, or are you just focusing on the price action, plain and simple?
The more I have opinions, the more trouble I get myself into.
Why is that?
You're talking to someone who just felt like the market was up too much for the last decade. Like every year it went higher, and I was like, no. And as I said, when the market goes down, it makes sense to me. But like, here's an example, right? Brexit was supposed to be so bad for the markets. Brexit happened, the market rallied. Trump was going to be so bad if he was elected president. First time, market rallied. So I mean, this April 2nd news with the tariffs, there's going to be a lot of volatility, but I'm certainly not betting on a big down move.
Okay, but will you take much exposure into it?
Much? No, I won't. No. Less. You'll be able to react afterwards. You'll be able to react with comments. Literally, they could announce something and then 2 hours later be like, no, we actually reached the deal. Like, just got to be careful.
Well, this is the challenge, because everybody does want the hot take coming in. The bold prediction of it's all going to work itself out, or Trump's really going to put the hammer down and crash everything. I mean, I do think. Where do you think that comes from? Where everybody wants. I mean, I think it's interesting. I think a lot of people want to make money, but I think even more so they want to please their egos, and they want to feel smart. Where do you think that comes from?
In terms of what?
Yeah, I mean, why do you think people are? I mean, I don't know if it's just old-fashioned tribalism, but people are desperate for like the hot take. Like they feel the need to predict the future.
Yeah, like validation, like trying to be like, oh, I knew. It's kind of like you put it into the world, and then you want to. It doesn't count. Because what's the first thing? Oh, I knew the market was going to go down. Oh, did you do anything? It's like I invented YOLO. Okay, great. How much money have you made from it? Right? You lose if you don't have the numbers to back it up, then it becomes less of a story. So it's one thing to say what you think. I don't ever like to equate the market with gambling, but in that sense, what you're talking about is similar. Like, oh, I knew the Yankees were going to win. I knew the Giants were going to win. So I bet on them. I bet on them. I bet I knew the market was going to go down. I knew the market was going to go up. Like the street cred.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the gambling urge is absolutely there because, like, I mean, I've noticed this. The single best way to get everybody to take your trade idea is tell them how risky it is. It's it's a funny thing if you're like, okay, all right.
The most expensive service I ever have is when I said to everyone on the call, I don't think most people should do this, and everyone wanted to do it. Don't buy this.
It's classic reverse psychology. Like
I wasn't trying to either. I was being honest, but it worked out okay. What's everyone else up to?
Let's see.
Oh, and by the way, yeah, definitely shout out stuff in the chat. That makes everything more fun.
Yeah, everybody, if you have questions, let us know what you're working on. Like especially like, if you have any specifically trading challenges, let us know in the chat, and Adam is happy to answer everything. He's an open book, way more so than most people I've met in this business. He's truly open about the wins, the losses, everything in between. Now, I do actually want to get back to this whole, and we'll get into Tesla and some of that craziness, but back to this whole question of the putting lesson. What made you say, okay, I'm just going to pay money and let somebody make me better?
That's the idea that you're like, where are you spending your time? Like, I have golf trips planned for the summer to Pebble Beach and Ireland. And I'm going to be doing that. I want to be doing it well. So think about what I'm spending to go on these trips. So the idea of a lesson to try to help my putting, I'm like, this is something I want to build on, especially at the beginning of the summer, form my base, work off it. It's the same thing with trading. Like the idea, if you spend a lot of time doing it, if you're really into it, that idea of having that extra help, it's whatever you're interested in. That makes sense. But I think the reason why it's more important in trading is because unless you gamble a lot in golf, like when it comes to trading, it's not a hobby. It's a money making or money losing activity. So the idea of investing in it to help yourself have the best possible outcome makes all the sense in the world.
Okay. Interesting comment from our friend Gil. He says, my biggest challenge is not selling even small profits. I want more greedy too much. So how do you deal with that urge to just have more?
Gil, I guess my first question for Gil would be, has it worked out where you got that lift where you did hold and you got paid off. I do think it's good to piece it out. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing scenario. So if something's working, especially with options trading, like that's what I did today in the Qs. As I got bearish, I bought puts. I started with the 490s, started going down. I was up. I didn't want to risk more, so I bought the 485s because they were cheaper. And then the market kept going down, so I sold those and bought the 483s. So you can ladder your options trades because each time I bought, I was making sure the options were cheaper, so I was risking less, which is a great way to follow the trades down. And you could do it on the bullish side too. If you're selling calls, you could be buying cheaper, further out of the money calls if it keeps going. In stocks, it's just more about piecing it out then, not being an all or nothing. So I do like every time you sell some for a profit, you're lowering your cost basis, which puts you in a better position to succeed no matter what. And Gil's other comment was should have sold open but got caught with the bull trap this open. Gil, like, listen, how could you be wrong for that, right? The market was as strong as possible on Monday. Yesterday, it would not go down, no matter what. The Qs were stuck, right? At the end of the day, they rallied into the close. I sold Iron Condor around the 493s, and I got eaten up because it went to, or the 492s because it went to 493.70 by 415, right? And there was no news today to send us lower. Whatever they said about tariffs wasn't it. There's nothing today that caused this 2% down move. Like, there was no new information, so I don't know. I bought some cheap options to take a shot, but it was like hard to do, a heavy lift, and then I sold them too early. I made like a couple thousand instead of a lot more money. But Gil, it's like, Mike, Sean told me once that someone had created, I don't think it worked, but that they created a helmet where you would trade the opposite of however you wanted to, because the market makes you feel a certain way. And right when you're like, there's no way this could go down, it came down. So the news this morning was negative and they popped the price up, and then right. It wasn't the news that made it go down, because the first thing we did was go up on the news. I'm used to buying and selling technicals, and I don't have confidence in selling and buying technicals. Any comment? I'm used to buying and selling technicals, and I don't have confidence in selling. Well, are you talking about on indexes or stocks or what? Let's be more specific, because sometimes, like, if you're not reading the market well, maybe you could focus on the strength or weakness of individual stocks, or vice versa. Maybe you're focused on a stock instead of the market, or maybe you're not. I don't know. I don't think technicals have as much validity as they used to have. I don't know. I'm not trying to bash technicals, but I think it's like just pure momentum. Like, strength and weakness is as simple as it gets in this environment. Mary Beth said, you mentioned all these trades you make on a daily basis, but where do you find them to know how to buy them? So I've been trading for 27 years. So I have full knowledge of most stocks, not all. There's 9,000, so not all. Sorry, I don't have full knowledge of most companies. Most stocks I trade, and then I look for what's in play in terms of volume for some new plays. Like, I'll look for the high activity plays, but like even just going on Earnings Whisper to see what was in play. So that's where I found Dollar Tree from. I knew it had earnings today. CNBC mentioned it. I knew it was in play for the day. Like, whatever's trending, I like to follow the action. And then also, like, there's always conversation. That's like, T3 is a community. I have a community. Like, together we have a community. But when you're in my business, people are always talking to you about stocks. So my son's tennis coach last week was telling me, this was a really good trade. My son's tennis coach was telling me to watch Carnival into earnings. He's like, I like everything they've been doing. They've really gotten beaten up. And I think Carnival is going to have good earnings, but you don't even have to own it into earnings. Just see what it does afterwards. And so I was like, okay, Carnival earnings, I'll watch. And Carnival CCL traded down to 19 and change. It was at 19 and change. And the market was selling off. This was on Friday last week. And I was watching, I'm like, if this gets back above 20, I think it's going to go positive. All these people waiting, because he said a lot of people were waiting for Carnival to turn around. I'm like, sold off into earnings. Imagine you thought Carnival was going to be good. You bought it into earnings. Now it goes down. You're all upset. I'm like, all right, now it's down. Can it go positive? And so when it was trading at 19 and change and went above 20, I bought the 2050 calls, and a lot of them. And then I bought the 21 calls were trading for 8 cents that day, that expired that day. And I bought 250 of them, which is equivalent of 25,000 shares. So I was risking $2,000. And I was like, let's go. The market was being up, and the stock went above 20 and it went to 21.50. And I was selling those at 50 and 60 cents, the ones I bought for 8 cents. And I had been down because the market was down that day too. I was down 7,000 or 8,000. I finished up 17,000, which was my best positive swing of the year, to be honest. That's like a big swing for me. But it was a $25,000 play, risking $4,000. And I didn't really have to hold them as much. Who I forgot who said their biggest challenge is holding Gil. I didn't have to hold them out because it literally just shot up. That's the beauty of these earnings space. Once they reverse, it was like a power up move to 21.50, selling, then it came back down. And I gave back a couple of grand because I bought options for this week for 22 and there was no follow through. So I was up 17, 18,000 in it, and now I gave back 2 or 3. But if it kept going, I would have made even more money. But I didn't give back the whole thing. I didn't hold that whole position. I had a gift. I took it, and I bought some cheap options above it to see what happens. I like that we got the chatter going.
Yeah, I think, I'll just put the message on the screen. Like, let us know what you're working on. Like, what do you really want to fix? Let's just say in the next 90 days, what is the biggest challenge out there that you want to fix? So I think this is a good comment from PP. I think maybe this is a non-native English speaker, but I think it speaks to confidence in pulling the trigger. So Adam, like when you got started, did you have any hesitation in actually pressing the buttons?
I mean, I guess it's like learning how to drive. When I first knelt down and saw the screen and it was like all these flashing lights and green and red, especially an active trading screen where you could see the bid and ask, it's definitely intimidating. So I eased in. I had some wrong box buys. My original trading screen had 3 boxes at the bottom, so you could have 3 different tickers. So I'd be looking at one and not realize there was another box, and all of a sudden I bought the wrong stock, and I'm like, why don't I own this? And then I look, I'm like, oh my God, I own that. So I made those mistakes early on with small. You start small, and then as you get confident, it's like driving. Like my kids, I'm teaching my kids how to drive now, and they get in the car like, what are all these buttons? It's like scary. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what half these buttons do. I go, this signal's right, this signal's left, and this is the radio. My lights are on automatic. Let's go. So you don't, yeah.
Yeah, cars, it's crazy now. Even like normal cars have like backup cameras and things.
Backup, right. I like the red light that shows you if someone's passing you. That's helpful.
Yeah. Okay, so related note, do you think paper trading is a good idea?
No.
Why not?
It's false sense of confidence if you do well, and it's not going to test your emotions if you do bad. If you lose $10,000 paper trading, you don't actually feel what it feels like when you're losing real money. And if you win and you think you're great, it's not the same as, I'd rather see someone make or lose $50 or $100 and have an actual experience than paper trade. I think it's a false sense, because the number one intangible of trading is controlling your emotions, and your emotions don't get tested when it's simulated.
Mm-hmm. Here's good comment by Eric. I know I've done this one before. I have the wrong expiration date when the spread was placed on Fortinet. I have 4.4. It should be 4.7. Adam, have you ever bought the wrong expiration? Or the wrong strike in options?
I mean, I've bought calls when I meant to buy puts because I was in the wrong box. I made 300 trades some days. I made every mistake you can make so that other people don't have to. Yeah. Yeah. The wrong expiration, though, probably not. Because I look at all the strikes, so I'd really have to scroll down to do that. Maybe if you had less strikes in.
Okay, but I mean, it sounds like you're definitely a growth-oriented person. You're still open to learning, so you've done all the rookie mistakes. We talked last week at the stories about how you heard about whatever wacky biotech stock from some guy that fell apart. But what do you have to work on now?
Oh, me? I think it's still my biggest flaw right now is the indexes. Like I'm really good at trading the stocks. I traded the indexes well today, but I get stuck sometimes on those market directions, and then it's just like I missed it by a day. There was that opportunity. The market was overbought temporarily. Like those options would have been worth 24,000. I get drawn to that big power move, but most days aren't the day. And this year it was starting to look like, no, we had a week, 5-7 days of trading where no, every day is the day. Every day you're going to get that move. And I love that week. That week was great for me. And then it stops. Yesterday was the opposite. Yesterday was nothing was real. It was just going to stay where it was. And that's the worst with options, when you are expecting a move and you're paying premium and it's not happening. So, I mean, that's as clear as I can be if you guys can follow that. And it's really important. If you're able to, I don't know how you do this. So that's why it would be a weakness of mine. But if you're actually getting those moves, you could take advantage of it. But if you're expecting the bigger moves and it's not happening, you have to recognize that quickly. An example would be like an earnings stock. So like Dollar Tree, we talked about, Carnival are successful, right? When you get those big swings from negative to positive, those 2, 3, 4 point moves, and you're leaning in the wrong direction, you're going to be rewarded. But if you get a stock that goes negative, positive within $1 range, and you keep thinking this is the move and you're buying premium, you got to realize pretty quick this isn't the day and leave it alone.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, Gil talked about how about switching direction mid-morning or midday. So Adam, when you feel like the trade is going against you.
Me and Gil are the same, by the way. All his questions are like, I get Gil.
We should bring Gil on as a guest next time.
Gil, you got to have a lot of confidence in what you're doing to switch. That's one of the hardest things to do. You're talking about I'm bullish, nope, I'm bearish. Because there's nothing worse than having been bullish, switching to bearish, watching the market go up, and then it's a double loss. Now, not only are you losing money, but you were supposed to be making money, right? So again, that is also a size thing. Someone just wrote in about Mark said, if you risk small, you lose small. Live to trade another day. Your best chance to win over time. So if you're trading small, back and forth, and then all of a sudden you have conviction, that's a better way to do it. Start the day trading small, and let the size come later. Kind of like when my son is playing tennis. When he tries to hit it really hard, it's usually not a good result. But if he's hitting good stroke after good stroke, and then he naturally turns and hits good ones, his momentum carried him into that. It's the same thing with trading. If you're small in rhythm, as you go bigger, it's going to be natural rather than starting the day. We're going out buying big size. That's a little harder, and then it makes it harder to pivot.
Here's a good question from Mary Beth. Until I learn more, I'm looking to find a service that gives me daily or weekly trade alerts without breaking the banks. Do you offer such a service?
So I used to offer 10 of them, but now they're all one, Mary. Now it's just Mesh Prime. I do that. I do options trades, and all the trades are in one place. And it's like, I think it's like it works out to $100 a month or something like that. I think it's like $600 6 months. It's a great deal. And we have a great service. And we're actually going to be on a call tomorrow at 11. I'm going to the home opener for the Yankees. I'm going to sit behind home plate at 1 o'clock tomorrow. But at 11, I have my call. Is that where you could get it or no? I don't know what that is.
Yeah. So Mary Beth, there's a link in the description below where you can click, you can get an options lesson from Adam, and it'll tell you.
That's where you can buy it. If you don't want the lesson, if you want to just join the group because you'll love it, just email here, josh@adammesh.com, and he'll take care of you. And then you get Patrick. Patrick used to be a bartender, so if you have any questions about anything, he is very patient. He explains everything. I taught him how to trade. So yeah, we have a whole good team if you want that stuff.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Adam.
Mark said, always try to buy more time than you think you will need to give yourself a chance to jump out of it if it goes against you. Yes, another big thing you just mentioned, how to learn proper size. I bought and stayed small when I should have been big. Right. You want to, Gil, would you agree you probably want to start small and then go big versus if you start big and then go small, it's a little hard to work your way out of that.
Yeah. So what is small? Let's say hypothetically, I'm getting started because this is a huge topic. People love to talk about position sizing. Let's say I'm putting $50,000 in a trading account and I want to start small. Like, what is a small trade?
$50,000. Well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, whatever it is. It's one contract is small. 100 shares is small. And you could say, 100 shares could cost you $5,000, but it's not. Most of the stocks we're trading at 50 aren't going to zero. Uber.
I mean, do you think people
just Uber at 75? It costs you $7,500, but if you lost 15 points, you're only losing $1,500.
Yeah, and I mean, and at least the starting point, a lot of it is learning process. So if you're doing like 20 versus, do you agree that the lessons are sort of more important at the beginning than the P&L?
Absolutely. You want to start small, get proof of concept, and slowly scale up. But I mean, the market can be a great thing. Like I just said, there's so many examples where you could risk. So if I'm risking $3,000, $4,000, and I could have made 30, right? You could risk $100 to make 1,000. Is that comfortable for everybody? Should be, right? If you're on here watching us in the middle of the afternoon, then that's probably comfortable for you. Wait, I have to go at 2, but I like this conversation, and you had a topic you wanted to discuss about Elon Musk.
Yeah, it's
to go uncovered.
Yeah, so last week the big news was Tim Walz went on stage at Tesla's at 225, and he's making a joke of it, basically laughing at people at the stock going down. And then of course it went up like 60 points in a row.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm just honest with your audience. I'll be fair. My mom's not even happy with me because I voted Democrat my whole life until this last election. I finally switched to Republican, and now I can't even believe I had ever voted as a Democrat. I mean, Tim Walz, that's embarrassing. He's rooting against a publicly traded company as an elected official. Like That's horrible. And I'm so glad I ran up in his face. But even more so, sorry, just to talk politics again for a second, I don't care who you accidentally add to a text, right? Like, why would the Atlantic publish those messages? Like, aren't they part of our country? Why would they let other countries? We accidentally included them on a secret text, and they're like, nope, let's show it to the world. Like, how anti-American is that? It's not like, is the Atlantic a British-owned company or a country? Like,
I don't know if the Atlantic is American. I don't know how pro-America they are.
if you're an American company, how do you do something to hurt America? Forget Republican or Democrat. Like if what would be an example of this? Like, let's say I live in my neighborhood and someone accidentally added me to a text chat where they were discussing an issue. I'm going to respect the fact that I wasn't supposed to know that and not do anything to worsen their situation as a good member of my community. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But so, yeah, the Tim Walz thing is good. I'm glad Tesla rallied in his face. I was listening to someone today say, like, the future of Tesla is probably going to be that they're a robot company that also makes cars. I mean, like the story for Tesla is just going to continue to evolve and change. And I know it's gone down. I know it's had trouble. And why is it down today?
I think what goes up must come down. It went up like 27% in a week, and the market's going down. It's a break is inevitable.
Oh, wait, Mark said the point was that his state employee retirement funds were heavily invested in Tesla when he was talking smack about it.
Yeah, so Tim Walz, like, he technically oversees the retirement funds, and so Minnesota State retirement funds own
right. So it's just so what Mark's saying is that he's bashing the company and all the people in his state are losing money.
And not only that, Tesla employs people in Minnesota. Like, there are people living in Minnesota that work for Tesla. So yeah, it was like just the dumbest thing.
What a jerk. What an absolute jerk. Hey, Lance, I believe it's owned by Steve Jobs' wife. What? I lost track.
Yeah, the Atlantic is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just think that's horrible.
Yeah. Well, but more positive, Robert Pinot says, preach on, Adam. We need to remember we're all Americans first and foremost.
Yeah.
HDG says, agree with you entirely. Okay, Adam, it is 1:59. Do we have to get you off for your next call?
Yeah, no, we got another minute. Everything's a little bit, I enjoy this guy. Guys, get going earlier in the comments. Like, see, this is like, next time I'll do an hour because the comments keep coming. This little show of ours is growing, huh, Mike? You guys like this?
Yeah, people are waking up. I was a little disappointed the last couple of weeks, but people are.
I thought last week was good too.
People weren't as active as.
Yeah, no. Comments
it's
building every week.
They're picking up.
Why is Tesla down today?
I think it just went up a ton, and tech as a whole is getting destroyed.
There's no news on it?
There's probably something. I don't know if anything specific. It could actually be the car tariff thing could be hitting it.
I would not bet against Tesla. Too many balls in the air. Too many things that could go right.
And I don't know. I mean, the way. I mean, it's interesting. Even the car business, the way it's going, it looks like it's going to be the next Toyota or Honda. It's shocking in New York how many Teslas there are versus like 3 years ago. I mean, I have because of where I live in Brooklyn, I have no need to own a car, but freaking like the idea of going to a gas station just seems crazy in 2025.
The idea of driving seems crazy.
I mean, it's getting to that point.
I like this group. This is fun. This is a good conversation. I like that we're getting it going. All right. I'm sorry I have to go.
Right. Okay, guys, make sure you click the link down below if you want to keep learning with Adam. Click the link down below. Okay, Adam, thank you for joining us, guys. We'll be back next Wednesday afternoon. Everybody, in the meantime.
It's about the chip not being able to sell abroad. Is that why Tesla's down, Gil? You guys all enjoy this? Yes?
Yeah. Mark is saying they're about every third car in the road here in Georgia.
I think I'm gonna try to bring offer a gift next week for everyone.
I think that's a good idea.
I have an idea. Absolutely cool.
All right.
Mary Beth, let me know if you email Josh real quick. Great session. Yeah. Gil.
He's talking about AMD.
Gil, Mark, come back every week. I like you. You guys drive this conversation. Me and Gil have the same problem, so we can work on them together. So yeah, but I've made every mistake. So being small and then naturally getting bigger has always been the right way to go. So if I'm trading well, I'm trying to be conservative, and then I see something like, no, this is it, and I'm usually right. If I'm like, oh, I want to make a fortune today, and I come in and I'm trading big, then I'm usually not in rhythm. The best way to get in rhythm is trading small, and that's when you can pivot, and the size comes when you're fully in the flow. So go small to big, not big to small.
Awesome. Okay. All right. That's the lesson for today. Thank you, Adam. Everybody have a wonderful day. Good luck to you.